Hello everyone, my name's Alex and I'm a physiotherapist from PhysioFunction and I'm going to be taking this level 1 different strokes exercise class today. So for those of you who are new with us today, level 1 classes are designed for individuals who may not have any movement in their affected arm or leg. It is a seated class, so there will be no standing at all in this class. Please be aware it is a requirement that you have somebody there to assist you with exercises as needed. So this is our second week in our functional task series. So today we're going to be exploring some exercises as they relate to the task of reaching to grasp an object. So it is going to be primarily an upper body focused exercise session, specifically working on the stability around the shoulder and the shoulder girdle, as well as some movements for your lower arm and your hand. So this class, I will give options for those of you who have little to no movement in your arm, as well as those of you who may have some movement, okay? So we'll get started firstly with a bit of a warm-up. So I want you to firstly sit nice and tall in your chair. Let's start by just taking some really nice big breaths in and out. So sitting nice and tall, big breath into your nose. Really think about breathing right to the bottom of your ribs down here, right into your tummy. And out. Good. We're going to do 2 more here. So really big breath, filling up all the way down to your tummy. And out. Good. 1 more big breath in. And out. Let's start by doing some shoulder rolls, just 1 at a time. Shrugging up, back and down. Really thinking about trying to sit in a lovely posture, nice and long through your spine. Coming away from the back of the chair if you can. Good. Get some motion happening in those shoulders. This is a lovely exercise that if you are sat down a lot of the day, that you can do intermittently throughout the day, just to try and to work out any stiffness that can happen in your shoulders, in your upper back, just to keep everything moving. And doing some nice big breaths in like we just did then. So 2 to 3 nice big breaths, again intermittently throughout the day, just to make sure we're using that whole capacity of our lungs. Because often we end up breathing just up here. Lovely. And then now let's do some gentle neck movement. So we're just going to look over the right shoulder, back to the middle, and then to the left. So just nice and gentle here, nice and slow. Again, we're just warming up and loosening the joints, preparing them to move. So for optimal movement, we want optimal alignment, and that involves us resetting our posture. So loosening up those stiff muscles and activating those muscles that are weaker to allow us to move more efficiently. Okay, let's pop. This time we're going to bring our right ear towards our right shoulder. Really let that left shoulder hang down nice and heavy to feel a gentle stretch down through the left side of your neck. So this is really gentle, we're not forcing anything here. Just letting gravity gently give you a nice stretch down the side of your neck. And then let's now, keeping our right ear to our right shoulder, turn our head to look down towards the floor. You might feel a slight change in the stretch. Again, this should all be gentle. If it's causing you any pain or dizziness, then please come back to the middle and stop the stretch. And then gently come up. Now you can help your head back up to center if that feels more comfortable for you. So we're going to go to the other side now, left ear to left shoulder. Again, try and let your right shoulder hang heavy. Feel that gentle stretch going down the right side of your neck. Nice big breaths here. Now you might find as well one side is tighter than the other. This side for me is definitely tighter. Nice. And then let's turn our head to look at the floor. So feeling the slight change in that stretch. Again, any dizziness, any pain, then please come back up to center and just use the time to sit and take some nice slow breaths in and out. Okay, we're going to come up to center so you can use your hand to gently help your head back up to center and come back to the middle. So we're going to keep going with some movements for our arms now. So holding your hands together in front, let's try and straighten those elbows down and bend them back up. So just gently at the moment, we're just going to take the joints through their ranges of motion. So moving all your joints through their ranges of motion each day can help prevent any stiffness and tightness occurring and help you manage any stiffness and tightness. Again, these movements should just be really slow and gentle. You don't want to force anything. And then as things start to loosen up a little bit, you might find you can just get a little bit further each time. So straightening and bending. Good, really trying to maintain that posture. Good, let's do a couple more here. Last one. Good, and then we're going to have our arms down below. We're going to place them on our lap. Let's bring our hands now both to the right knee. Turning from your waist, I want you to pretend you're going to look over your right shoulder. So you're feeling that rotation coming from the middle of your body. So you might feel a gentle stretch in your back. Really try and sit as tall as you can here. Good. And then come back to center. Hands on the left knee, turn to look over the left shoulder. Feel that rotation happening from your waist. Again, you shouldn't be pulling yourself. More thinking about using your tummy muscles to rotate. So not pulling on your leg, just using your muscles in your tummy to turn. A really nice mobility exercise, but then also a strengthening exercise for those core tummy muscles. Hands to the left knee, turn to look over that left shoulder. Good, hands to the right knee, turn to look over the right shoulder. Lovely. One more to the left. And then relax. So same as last week, we're now going to work on some exercises to try and activate the muscles in our tummy and our core. So remember, for efficient movement, not only do we need enough range, but we also need to activate those stabilizing muscles. Because if you have a stable base, it will allow for more efficient movement of your limbs. So activating the muscles of our core. So this is not just our tummy. If you were with me last week, we discussed that it also involves the muscles around your hips and your pelvis, including your bottom muscles, your tummy, your back muscles, and the muscles up around your shoulder here. So we're going to work on activating those to have a more stable base so that we can move more efficiently. So if you wiggle forward a little bit in your chair, if possible. If this is not possible for you, then if you can get a block or something that you can raise your feet up onto, so we have a nice 90-degree angle. So feet are in contact with the floor, Really think about spreading your toes as much as you can and feeling the ground. So you could have your shoes off for this to really get to feel that contact with the floor. I always think it's really nice with some of your exercises to have your shoes off or have your socks off as well, so that you can really get that sensation coming down through your feet. So spreading those toes, feeling that full contact with the floor. What I want you to try and do is gently push your feet down into the floor. So you'll feel the back, the muscles in the back of your thighs light up a little bit. So we're trying to really activate these muscles in our back body, squeezing your bottom gently, and then we're relaxing. Again, feel the ground underneath your feet. Push your feet down into the ground. Think about pushing those heels down to activate those muscles in your bottom, muscles in your hamstrings. Keep nice and tall. And then relax. Good. And again, let's push down. Feel that activation. So think about pushing your heels straight down, not forward, so that you don't slip and push yourself backward. So make sure those feet are underneath the knees enough. Okay, so heels are right back underneath your knees. Pushing down into the ground, you'll feel, just with a little push, you'll feel the muscles in your back body. So the muscles at the back of your thighs here, the muscles in your bottom light up a little bit. You'll feel them activate. That's all we want here. And relax. So we don't want any movement as such. I just want you to try and think and feel that connection and that lighting up of these muscles in your bottom and the back of your thigh. And again, let's push down, feel that lighting up. Now really concentrate on pushing down through that affected side. And then relax. So really think about the connection with the floor through your affected foot and really pushing down through that foot. So you're pushing down equally through your legs to feel the muscles in the back of your thighs, in your bottom. You can give your bottom an extra squeeze. And then relax. Let's do 2 more here. Again, ground those feet, spread those toes as much as you can. Push your feet down, feel the activation of the back muscles of your thighs, squeeze your bottom. Remember to breathe, a lot of things to think about, and relax. Last one, here we go. Push down, squeeze the bottom muscles, feel that activation, hold that there, and then relax. Lovely. Okay, now we're going to move on to activating those tummy muscles a little bit more. So again, sitting tall in your chair, far back away from the back of the chair if you can, or just thinking about lightening how much pressure is going back. So growing lovely and tall, shoulders back and down. Let's think about now engaging those tummy muscles. So like I said last week, if you imagine there's a diamond shape on the bottom of your tummy. So if you put your hand on your hip bone, so that bony point at the front of your hip, fingers pointing down to your pubic bone, thumb pointing up towards your tummy button. So that's half of a diamond. So I want you to imagine if you had both hands there. So if you have the ability to do this, you could. If not, just use half. Okay, imagine this diamond here at the front lower part of your tummy. I want you to imagine you are trying to gather the tissues together underneath your hand and back. So this gentle tightening of your lower belly. Or another thing you can do to think about is imagine you're trying to get on a pair of old jeans that are a little bit too snug. Most of us have been there. So imagine you're trying to do those up. So you want to really draw in that lower tummy to do up those jeans. The important thing here is that we're not holding our breath when we do this. So we're going to take a nice big breath in. And then as we breathe out, think about drawing those lower tummy muscles together and back. Try and hold that there. You can just breathe normally, feel that tension, that activation of that lower tummy, and then relax. So again, we're going to take a nice big breath in to prepare. And breathe out. drawing that diamond together and back. So thinking about really consolidating that lower tummy, ribs are knitted down. Breathe normally here. And then relax. Okay, we're going to do one more here, then we're going to add on to this. So again, big breath in, breath out, drawing that diamond together and back, ribs are knitted down. Imagine we're trying to put on that slightly tight pair of jeans. We want to draw in that lower tummy. Breathe normally here. Feel that connection through your core, that activation of those lower tummy muscles, and then relax. Okay, we're going to add on to this. So we've practiced that feeling of engagement with sitting nice and tall. We're going to have our hands together. So again, big breath in to prepare. Breath out, draw in that lower tummy. So collect that diamond. So remember, we're engaging here and back. Ribs are engaged. And now let's see if we can lift those arms up, keeping that core connection, and then down. Good, relax. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out. Draw in those lower tummy muscles. Feel that engagement, and then maintain that while we lift our arms up in front of us, and then back. Good. So really feeling that activation through your core, the bottom muscles are woken up. We're really feeling that nice solid base to support our posture. Let's do one more here. So we're going to take a nice big breath in. Breathe out. Draw in that diamond, feel that core connection. And then we're lifting those arms, keeping that core nice and active. And then down. Lovely. So we're not going to specifically be focusing on that core connection, but whenever you're doing your exercises, I want you to try and think about that gentle activation of your tummy muscles. Because again, if we are nice and stable here around our core, it's going to enable us to move much more efficiently, and it's going to help with our posture and our balance. So remember that feeling of activation. So now let's move on to our shoulders. As we're doing an upper limb task, we're going to work on activating the muscles around our shoulder blades. So again, we're sitting tall, we're not losing our posture, tummy muscles are drawn in together. Hands out in front of you. Now they can be on your lap, or you can gently hold them out in front. Or if you're near a table, I've just got a stool here, you can have your hands resting on the table in front of you, okay? So an option for you, whichever one you would like to do. So again, I want you to think about gently drawing those tummy muscles in. So find that activation. And then we're going to think about sliding our arms forward, rounding our shoulder blades. So shoulder blades moving away from the middle. We're then going to pull our shoulder blades back together, keeping our arms straight. So the movement here is coming from our shoulder blades moving forward and backwards, so sliding along our rib cage rather than our arms bending. So again, feel that gentle activation, so don't lose that in your posture. Core is working, hands are out, arms are straight, or as straight as you can have them. Let's think about lengthening those arms away from you as far as you can. Shoulder blades are moving away from one another, moving away from the middle of your spine, and then you're pulling those shoulder blades back and down. So if I go to the side just to show you here, okay, you can get an idea of what my shoulders look like. Okay, so I'm sitting lovely and tall here, hands are rested on my table in front. Tummy is active, my core, I'm really trying to sit nice and tall. I'm reaching my arms away from me, so my shoulder blades are moving this way. So they're moving around my back, away from my spine. I'm then drawing my shoulder blades back together, keeping my arms as straight as I can. So shoulder blades are then moving back towards one another. So this is a really nice exercise because when we move our arms, it's not only our arm bone, so our upper arm bone here, our humerus, it's not just our humerus that allows the movement. We want our shoulder blade to be able to glide along our rib cage, because that assists with obviously the movement. Everything needs to be moving together and working efficiently. So again, let's nice and tall. Let's think about sliding arms away, shoulder blades moving away from the midline. We're then drawing them back together, squeezing shoulder blades back and down. Let's do a couple more here. Slide those shoulder blades away from one another. Pull them back and down. Good, last one. Slide them away from one another. Pull them back and down. Fantastic. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, so we are going to now move on to doing some movement. So we're thinking about the upper arm movement of that reach and grasp task. So if we are reaching for an object, we need our upper arm bone here to move. So we want our arm to come forward. So we're working on our shoulder muscles. We're also working on our elbow extending, so our elbow straightening. We want our wrist to open up and our hand to open. So if we're reaching, we've got all these separate things we want to think about and work on. So we're going to start by working on that shoulder movement and that elbow straightening motion. So I've got to say at the start that if you can grab yourself a little towel or tea towel, and if you can find your way to a table, or if like me you don't have a table, if you have something you can pop in front of you, this could even just be a pillow on your lap and you could place a tray on top. Or you could have a stool or something like me, or if you've got a portable table, you could have that in front. Just make your way to either one of those. So I'm going to bring my stool in front of me, okay? And we are just going to be working on your affected side here. So if you have some movement in your arm, I want you to do as much as you can with your affected arm. Now your unaffected arm is going to guide only as needed, okay? So you're doing as much as you can with your affected side and you're guiding with your unaffected hand. Now if you have no movement, I want you to guide and complete the movement with both your hands, but you are thinking about the task being performed by your affected side, okay? Because mentally rehearsing a movement has been shown to be really beneficial for really rebuilding and getting those connections from your brain to your muscles. So if you have no movement or very, very minimal, I want you to really concentrate on trying to think about the movement that's happening when you're doing it, okay? So you can do it along with me, and then think about yourself performing that movement. So if you sit in front of your table or with your tray on your lap, hand on top of the towel. So if you have difficulties flattening out your hand, you could roll up that towel slightly. You could have two. You can have one roll up towel to support your hand and then another one underneath. Okay, so whatever works best for you. I'm going to place mine here. Okay, now I really want you to focus here on trying to keep your body still. Okay, we're going to think about reaching that arm away from you, sliding that towel, and then pulling that elbow back. So body still, we are not sort of using our body to get the movement, we are trying to lengthen and move that arm away and pull back. Okay, you can guide with your other hand. So it might be that if you have some movement, you just need to guide it to stop that hand coming across. We're wanting to think about it going straight forward and backward. Imagining you've got a straight line. You could even use a target. You could measure out how far away your hand can go, pop a target in front there and use that as something to aim for. Okay, so we're moving forward. We're lengthening that arm out in front of us, straightening that elbow, and then we're pulling that elbow back. Pushing it forward, straighten that elbow, and then pull that elbow back. Forward, reach, 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 lengthen that elbow. So you might want to give a little bit of guidance there. Your assistant could gently help you with that elbow straightening just by using a little bit of gentle support under that elbow while you guide your hand back. And again, think about really lengthening. So we're getting a bit of forward flexion. So forward movement at the shoulder, elbow is straightening, you are lengthening that arm away from you, And then you're thinking about pulling your elbow back, shoulder blade moving back to middle. Lengthen that arm out in front of you. Arm moves straight. Really lengthen it as far away as you can. Body is staying still. Core is tight. Pull that elbow back. Lovely. And again, let's move forward. Lengthen that arm. Pull that elbow back. Good. Let's do a couple more here. Lengthen. Now, if you have time, I would recommend you could either pause the video here and just keep practicing this movement, or when we finish these few exercises, you can rewind to the point where we've just started this exercise and do them another 2 to 3 times, okay? Because remember, when it comes to upper limb movement and all your exercises, if we're thinking about that neuroplasticity, that rewiring of those messages from your brain to your muscles, repetition is key. We really want to repeat and practice these movements as much as we can. So the next one we're going to do is we're going to think about that movement happening at our wrist. Okay, so moving our palm from flat to turning it up. So we've thought about the movement happening at our shoulder and our elbow. So there's forward flexion of our shoulder, that straightening of that elbow. Now we want, if we were going to pick something up, our wrist wants to be in this neutral position. Now this can be really challenging for a lot of people who find they're quite tight and they can have their hand down, but they struggle to turn it upwards. So this is a lovely movement and exercise we can use to try and strengthen it. So it's breaking down the task that you're trying to achieve and working on those little individual components and then trying to put them together. So hands supported on your table or on your lap or your tray in front, palm facing down. You can use your unaffected hand to assist. We're going to think about leading with the thumb, so we're going to turn that thumb upward and over, so palm facing up as much as we can, and then we are going to turn the opposite way. So again, try and keep body as still as you can. Movement is coming from these bones or coming from that forearm, so it's these bones in your forearm rotating around one another to allow our palm to turn upward. So again, let's lead with the thumb, up and over. You can assist and guide as much as you can. If you have some tightness there, you could hold it for a gentle stretch. And then back over. We're going to repeat that again. Turning that hand over. And back. So again, with all these exercises, I would recommend probably continue, either rewinding and continuing to practice, or do them all again, or pause me here and just keep on practicing. You know, you want to really build up those repetitions. So really think about, remember, if you haven't got much movement, you can guide and do the movement with your unaffected hand, but you're thinking about the motion, thinking about what's happening. Really picture yourself moving your hand. Okay, think about the action. And back over. So we're turning that hand over, movement coming from our forearm. And back. Good, let's do 4 more. Turning over. And back. Remember, you're just guiding. If you've got some movement, you're just doing. You could even start doing as much as you can and then join in if you need to. But you're doing as much as you can with that affected side. Good. That's it. Let's do 1 more here. And then we're going to stop with our thumb facing upward. So what we want to try and do now is think about our wrist. So if we were going to reach to pick something up, we would be reaching forward. So shoulder bending, arm extending, hand in that neutral position. Our wrist would bend back while we open our hand to pick something up. So this is the next thing we want to work on. We want to work on that wrist movement. So if you can have your hand in this position in front, so thumb is facing upwards, now you could always support that with your unaffected side, or your assistant could support this for you while you help the movement if needed. If you have some movement there, I encourage you to just practice and work with what you have. Okay, so supporting that forearm, we're thinking about bending that wrist backward and then coming back to neutral. Bending it back, coming back to neutral. Okay, if you need to help it, again, we are coming back here, back to neutral. Bending that wrist back, coming back to neutral. Now, if you have no movement, you could always intertwine your fingers here, and you could, I'll show you here, be using your other arm to assist with the movement, okay? Again, you're thinking about what's happening. You're thinking about your affected arm performing the movement while you're doing it. So you're bending it back and back to the middle. Bending that wrist back. Try and let your fingers relax there when you do. And back to the middle. Now, if you can, I want you to think about bending and opening those hands and then coming back to make a fist. This is really, can be really tricky. So if you would like to, you could just practice here, opening and closing. So opening and closing that hand. Again, you could help the fingers, opening and closing. So spreading those fingers and closing to make a fist. Spreading them open, closing to make a fist. Remember, you can be helping that movement, or your assistant can help you as well. So you're opening those fingers, closing to make a fist. Opening those fingers, closing to make a fist. And if you have the movement available, you could be opening and trying to extend that wrist a little bit as if you're going to pick something up, and then closing as if you were going to hold it. Opening, seeing if you can extend that wrist, and close. Now this is really hard because if you've got tightness in that forearm, you might really struggle here. So you could just practice individually opening and closing and extending that wrist. Okay, so again, I would encourage you to stay here for a bit longer and really practice those individual movements. So you could always rewind the video and have a go doing those another couple of times, or you could just pause each section and see how many repetitions you can get out. So again, if upper limb function is something you're working on, these are really nice exercises that you can do to really work on that task of reaching to grasp. So if we now have a practice of actually doing an exercise, putting that all together, and then I will leave you there because I know we've run over a little bit already. I always seem to get a bit carried away. So we're going to use, I'm going to grab a bottle. So you can use whatever you would like to. Again, sitting in front, have it as a target. You can just facilitate the entire movement. Now, you don't even have to come to the reach to grasp part. If you have no movement at all, you could just assist and facilitate the whole thing. So you're assisting with your unaffected side. Your assistant could be helping you. So you might be helping with your arm, and your assistant could help you to hold onto the item. And just, again, you're thinking about that motion. You're trying to, as you're doing it, you're thinking about all the different things that we've just done, working, trying to get those connections from your brain to your muscles, okay? So, starting in our starting position, so your bottle or whatever you're using is on the table in front of you, so in line with your affected side. You're firstly thinking about reaching. So I'm going to turn to the side here actually so you can see me. Okay. Hands rested. So we're thinking about firstly that movement happening in that shoulder and elbow that we practice. So we are sliding and lengthening that arm away from us. We're also thinking about opening that hand if we can to then hold on to the bottle, the cup, whatever you have there, the item. Okay, and then making a fist and gripping it. We then want to think about opening those fingers. So again, this might be you helping, this might be your assistant helping you to open, and then pulling that elbow back. So again, let's think about the first part, shoulder and elbow. We're lengthening that arm away from us. As we approach the cup, let's think about opening up that hand, opening the fingers, extending the wrist to then hold on and grasp the object. We then want to let go, so we're going to open up the fingers. Again, all this could be assisted by yourself, by your your assistant, we're then going to pull back. So it's practicing this motion, reaching forward, elbows straightening, arms lengthening away, that as we approach the cup, the bottle, our hand is opening, we are then closing our fingers around the bottle to make a grip. So again, all of this, you can be helping each movement. You can be going at your own pace. I just want to demonstrate this so that you know the components of the exercise, and then you can perform it yourself. Ooh, excuse me, sorry, my computer decided to pop something up there. Okay, so again, I'll do this a couple more times, and then please feel free to continue to practice this yourself. Arms here, we are lengthening that arm away from us. So shoulder is bending, elbow extending, body is nice and straight. As we approach, let's think about opening those fingers, opening that thumb, wrist is coming back so that we can grasp onto that cup, that bottle, and make a grip, try and squeeze it. Then let's think about opening and releasing that grip. So relaxing and lengthening those fingers. Again, everything can be assisted. And then bringing that arm back. Let's do one more here. Reach, open those fingers, grasp the object, open and lengthen those fingers, pull that arm back. Okay, so I encourage you to keep practicing that task. Again, what you can always do, you can rewind it, you can just repeat that another few times if be, but repetition is key. We have just run a little bit over and a little bit short of time today. So there's some lovely tasks and exercises that you can do to work on the functional task of reach to grasp. There's obviously loads of other things that you can also do as well, but they're just a few of them I thought would be useful in relation to that one thing, if that is something that you were trying to work on. So I hope you've enjoyed today's class. So we're going to be doing another functional task exercise session next week. Okay, so I really hope that they've been useful and you've enjoyed them. Please remember there are loads of other exercise classes on the Different Strokes Charity Facebook page and the Different Strokes UK YouTube page. So please check them out. We would always recommend that you do at least 3 classes a week to get the most out of them, but there's so many different ones, loads of different varieties, so you can really add some variation to your weekly exercise routine. Anything extra than 3 times is also a bonus, so as many as you'd like to do. Thank you again for joining me. Remember, if you've enjoyed the class, give me a thumbs up. If there's anything you would like me to include or anything you'd like to see, if you have any comments, then please leave them below or send a message to the Different Strokes Facebook group. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Bye.